Alright, I'm Joshua Munson, and this is my program Budget Buddy. There's quite a lot to cover in 5 to 7 minutes, so I'll try to get through this as quickly as possible. My program is set into 3 sections, a main section and 2 sub-functions to modularize the code. I have all of the code commenting as well as white space, indentation, and whatnot required. Plenty of variables. Expenditures array is one large one, as well as this income monthly that's taken in from the user. I have a matrix of characters here as a header name. I have control structures. This one here is a loop to compare booleans to determine a sum for a minimum income. I have tables uploaded from this file here, an Excel file, uploads into a table. I convert it into an array to do some working. Also upload back to tables and write files. I also have dialogues that come open to receive information from the user, like this one here, asks for the monthly income after tax. So before I run the program, I will show you this. This is essentially a template expenses folder or file that the user can fill out. They fill all this information out of all their expenses. It sums it up all here, and they tell me whether or not they can reduce their spending in that category. Rent you can't reduce, and therefore it would be false, but you may be able to spend a little bit less money on food, and so that's labeled as true. So when we run the program, it will tell me, it might be hard to read, please upload your expense file. The default file name is testexpenses.xlsx. So I'll go in here and I'll find my test file. That's the one that we just saw. Open it. I provide a monthly income. The recommended here is 3,000. So let's just go with that. I enter my name, Joshua. And then over here, you'll see I have created a new Excel file. If I come into the folder, it is named my name, today's date, and then my monthly income that I inputted. I open this up, and then based on the information I provided, I have each category. If I am overspending, underspending, or within range based on a set range of percentages, I have a specification if I'm over and under, or by how much I'm over and under a specified percentage of my income that section should be at. I have specified here if I can or cannot reduce that based on the Boolean input that the user gave. I have a list of current spending that is being spent by the user on these different categories, and then a recommended spending category that tries to reduce anything that can be reduced to the recommended spending amount. So here we could reduce it by $360 to meet with the recommended spending amount. All that extra money is compiled into this debt, savings, and leftover category, where it is then further broken down into a wants section of extra funds and savings section of extra funds that follows the 50, 30, 20 breakdown of budgeting that has been researched before I wrote this program. So back to the program here. There weren't really a lot of areas or things that I couldn't figure out how to implement. I did end up doing everything that I envisioned on doing. I did run into plenty of roadblocks. A lot of them were more syntax than anything. I think one of the biggest ones was writing to the Excel file and being able to properly get that to work and save in the folder, as well as how I can change the file name to make sure I have multiple files based on different values. And then if I do have an identical file name, being able to go in there and delete that file that exists, if it already exists, before I create that file again, because if I didn't do that, they would kind of compile together and not work very well. So that was kind of the biggest roadblock that I ran into. I think honestly the most challenging part of the entire thing was just the amount that was there. There's a lot of creation that goes into building that chart for the final product and specifying the values for the range and the actual values for the recommended amount of spending, and then comparing all of that information to the recommended values, and then being able to populate this table with proper values and whether you can or cannot reduce that amount, whether you're within or out of that range. And so I think just the actual amount of information that's being calculated and the amount of array and table manipulation that is there seemed to be the most difficult to make sure that everything was just right and working properly. To what I would do differently next time would be, I think I can probably optimize this a little bit better, remove some of these nested loop structures, and maybe modularize it just a little bit more to give myself a little bit of breathing room in these files, in these functions, so I can have some reusability. There isn't really a lot of repeat code written in either one of these functions, but I'm sure that there are ways that I can do this where I would implement a lot of repeating code just for future ideas. As for my strengths, I think I really had the logic down and the understanding of how to implement this code. I just felt a little held back on my ability to remember all the syntax and all the words and everything that allowed me to create this as seamlessly as possible and as smoothly as possible. The thing I'm most proud of is, I think, the final result, the ability to not provide much information into this code, just have the user fill out a pre-given file, upload that file to the program, give a monthly income, provide a name, and then that's the only information that really the user has to do. It's very simple for the user and provides a lot of information for them to make any sort of budget modifications. And so I think I'm most proud of it being simple for the user and very useful with an end product. And as for my celebration, I am going to go to sleep because I've been staring at this code for a couple of hours, and have a fantastic night. Woo! Celebration!